Picture this. You are standing around a fire, 40,000 years ago. You'd think, with all we know about pottery shards and cave paintings and burial sites, that would have an answer. We don't. Humor doesn't fossilize. Humor is not a modern invention. It's older than agriculture. It might be older than language itself. Chimpanzees laugh. Gorillas laugh. Even rats laugh, in a way. Somewhere in the deep evolutionary past, some common ancestor of ours developed a reflex. That's your first clue. Laughter is old. Older than fire. Older than tools. Somewhere along the way, laughter stopped being just a physical reflex. It became social currency. Think about early hominin bands. Small groups, 20, maybe 30 individuals. In a group that small, tension is dangerous. A grudge can tear a band apart. You need a release valve. And laughter is exactly that. These communities use humor constantly. They mock the best hunter after a big kill. They call his catch scrawny. They laugh at how slow he ran. Anthropologists call this practice insulting the meat. If the best hunter starts to believe he's better than everyone else, the whole group suffers. So the joke isn't an attack. It's a leash. That keeps the band equal. You've probably done this yourself. Made fun of a friend right after they did something impressive. That instinct in you. It's not modern. It's Paleolithic. If early humans didn't have full grammar, full syntax, full vocabulary, how do you tell a joke without words? Someone trips. Someone makes an exaggerated face. Someone mimics another person's walk behind their back. That's the actual formula for a joke. A setup, and a surprising break from what you expected. Early humans had everything they needed for that. A raised eyebrow, an exaggerated flinch. You do this instinctively. Even now, impressions, impersonations. But at some point, this physical comedy met language. And that collision changed everything. Now you could tell a story where the outcome was wrong on purpose. Now you could describe someone falling into a pit instead of just acting it out. And that's the moment the joke, as you understand it today, was born. We tend to imagine our ancestors as grim, serious, focused only on survival. But that picture is incomplete, maybe even wrong, because a group that only survives, and never plays, never laughs, that group doesn't last. Trust erodes, bonds weaken, cooperation collapses. Humor wasn't a luxury for early humans. It was infrastructure, as essential as fire, as essential as tools. That changes how you should picture that scene from the beginning. Around the fire, someone makes a joke, and it's not a distraction from survival. It is survival. When did it stop being just gestures and mimicry, and start becoming something closer to a joke? Once humans started writing, they started writing down jokes almost immediately. It comes from ancient Sumer, carved in cuneiform, dated to around 1900 BCE. A young woman did not fart in her husband's lap. Yes, that's it. That's the oldest joke we have on record. A fart joke, 4,000 years old. Humor is not one of those things. Exactly the same impulse you have today. You've laughed at a fart joke. Don't pretend you haven't. Let's travel further, to ancient Egypt. Egyptian humor shows up in the strangest places. Tomb paintings, workers' graffiti, satirical papyri. A lion and an antelope playing a board game. Mice being served by cats. Role reversals. Mice being served by cats. This wasn't humor for humor's sake. It was subtle social commentary, dressed up as absurdity. You see this exact pattern today. Political cartoons. Satirical shows. That trick, using humor as a disguise for criticism, isn't a modern invention either. It's Egyptian. Now let's go to ancient Greece, because this is where things get structured. By the 4th century BCE, we have actual joke books. The most famous is called the Philoggelos, meaning laughter lover. There's a recurring character, called the Scholasticos. A Scholasticos wants to see if he looks good while asleep, so he stands in front of a mirror with his eyes closed. That's a setup and a punchline, built on the same comedic logic you'd find in a sitcom today. Aristotle himself wrote about comedy as a legitimate subject. He believed comedy imitated people as worse than they really are, exaggerated, foolish, flawed. The pleasure of comedy came from recognizing that flaw safely, from a distance, without real harm. Every sitcom character who never learns their lesson. Why does every ancient culture we look at, independently, develop this same structure? The human brain is a prediction machine. When that prediction gets broken, safely, without real danger, your brain rewards you for it. This is why the mirror joke works. This is why insulting the meat works. It's because they were all running the exact same hardware. Let's bring this back to that fire, one more time. No one wrote anything down. No one carved a joke into clay. That machinery already existed in the minds of the people sitting around that fire. a brain that predicts, a moment that breaks the prediction, and a body that releases the tension through laughter. So when you laugh today, at a meme, at a friend's joke, at something absurd on your phone, you're activating a mechanism that predates cities, predates writing, predates agriculture. The jokes have changed. The targets have changed. The delivery has changed almost beyond recognition. But the reason you laugh? That hasn't changed at all. How did ancient humans tell jokes to each other? The same way you do.